Welcome back to Timeless Messages. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So this particular video is not going to be an I Ching reading. It's going to be sharing some thoughts, personal thoughts that I think could be very relevant for the human condition. And so without further ado, if you'd like to close your eyes and just take some deep breaths and have some stress reduction, I'll begin those thoughts. So for quite some time now, it is 2023 now, February 2023, I've been watching, and I'm sure all of you have been watching, the world events happening on planet Earth. All sorts of things happening, some favorable and quite a few unfavorable things. What I have noticed is that there is a lot of extreme there's a lot of extreme ideology that is very separatist, specifically ideologies that are seeking to improve the situations, the rights, the privileges of a very particular group of people. And I don't think those types of ideologies have a very broad base because they don't include all of humanity. And so the thrust of this discussion is, how can we take the next step from remaining in these segregated and separatist ideologies that are, of course, well-intentioned, but exclusionary nonetheless, not wanting what's best for everyone, but just for a particular group in general. How can we evolve from these separatist ideologies to a more advanced or evolved ideology? And I think that the ideology that we are being asked to enter into could be labeled as humanism, or you'd be a humanist, or you could call it a humanitarianism, or you're a humanitarian. The words aren't so important as is the perspective and outlook. The outlook that I believe we are going to be, or are being asked to evolve into at this stage in our evolution on Earth as humanity, is one in which we not only seek, we not simply seek the rights and privileges of a very particular group of people, but we seek truly what is best for all people, all humanity. This isn't to exclude humans, or excuse me, this isn't to exclude humans. This isn't to exclude animals and the environment, nature. Of course, these are important considerations as well. But I'm going to limit myself to just considering humanity and its plight. Part of the problem that these very particular ideologies that seek the rights and privileges of a particular group of people, part of this problem is that they lack a broad base or a foundation. The foundation is fairly narrow because the group that they're trying to assist is not everyone. It's a very particular group of people. Nothing wrong with trying to help people move forward in a good way, but when it's done to the exclusion of others, in an exclusive kind of way where they just want rights and privileges for that particular group, not for everyone, then that causes problems because it's in a state of imbalance. And in my estimation, these ideologies have gotten to quite an extreme imbalance. The pendulum has gone very, very far to one side. You know, in the Chinese philosophy of yin and yang, or feminine and masculine energies, there's always the interplay the harmonious and balanced interplay and interaction between feminine and masculine, between women and men, between feminine energy and masculine energy. And this certainly doesn't mean that we're just thinking about our physical bodies as identifiers to what energy we are exhibiting. Just like the yin and yang symbol, the Tai Chi symbol, with the circle and the teardrop of black light with white in the center, and the teardrop of white light with black in the center, they contain each other. The energy of the feminine, that's the black, which is hidden, which is mysterious, dark, cooling, yin, also has the white light of the masculine within it. Similarly, the white light of the masculine, the active, the daylight, the sunshine, also has within it that black circle, small black circle that indicates the feminine, the nighttime. So they contain one another and they transform into one another perpetually. And this harmonious and balanced transformation of these energies leads to harmony and peace and health and all good things. Just as in any system, when things become out of balance, the system strives to correct itself. Homeostasis. Homeostasis is essentially the condition when the physical system is in a state of harmonious balance. When that balance is achieved, health and harmony result. But when that balance is not achieved, and when there's no balance, and there's extreme conditions, then homeostasis, or balance, cannot occur. And the organism, whether that's a human or an animal, whatever that may be, if it's out of balance, it doesn't have positive health, it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't function well. And I would assert that we are in a state of lack in terms of homeostasis in our society. And these ideologies that are extreme and very focused on one particular group are helping to create this imbalance, this lack of homeostasis. And because everything is an interplay of feminine and masculine energies, or light and dark, cold and hot, high and low, and so forth and so on, all these different seeming opposites are actually complementary forces that work with each other to sustain the balance, the harmony. And so my belief is that the desire, if we can evolve into this new perspective, and I think we will, the desire to ask ourselves, well, what is the best solution for the most amount of people over the greatest amount of time? Best solution, most amount of people over the greatest amount of time. If we can ask ourselves this more and more and more, then we're more fully entering into this humanitarian vision. And not that we don't want other things to occur, I believe that we do inherently have equal value, every one of us, regardless of distinctions of gender, politics, eye color, skin color. Those are all unimportant. Everyone has the same value. And ideally, everyone should have equal opportunities for work, for prosperity, for health and happiness, and the pursuit of life and liberty and happiness. So, and because I believe that those ideas are not necessarily causes we have to eternally fight for, I believe that at the heart of everyone, we all know that no one's better than anyone else. We all have the same amount of value. And I think at the heart of everyone knows that we can have and should have and are moving toward everyone having equal opportunities. I think that's definitely part of the majority of people's thinking process. But I would say that because there are numerous ideologies that are very separatist and very specifically focused on securing rights and privileges for a very particular group, that this causes problems because we're not able to enter into this larger state of perception and vision. The desire to secure these rights and privileges for this very particular group, although well-intentioned, necessarily must limit the privileges and rights of others that do not belong to that group. And so therein lies the problem. Because the vision is not as expanded as it needs to be, it actually helps some and harms others. So my belief is that we're going to be much better off if we can move ourselves toward a vision where we are asking ourselves how we can work together. How can I harmoniously interact with others, work together with others? How can women and men work together? How can feminine and masculine work together? How can these energies work together to create the best outcomes and opportunities and situations for all of humanity, not just one particular group? And I think that if we can ask these questions, we'll begin to lift everyone up simultaneously, because we'll no longer be so short-sighted in our vision. And I truly believe that this is happening right now. We are being asked to move in these directions, these new directions that are expanded. And the degree to which we can do so, we will certainly be helping ourselves and our future. Humans can be very stubborn. I know, because I'm a fairly stubborn person myself, and oftentimes it's not through some sort of negative experience or a crisis that people change. People generally will not change unless there's a significant enough motivating force for them to do so. The humanitarian approach seeks to lift everyone up, to cradle everyone in support, strength, love, abundance, prosperity, goodness, healing, welfare, all good things. And the separatist ideologies serve to create more debate, more contention, more dissension between people. They create disunity and move us further away from unity, necessarily because the ideologies don't represent everyone. They represented a limited number of people. Much like the hypothesis that the next step in consciousness evolution goes from the individual consciousness of being identified and very, very focused upon the individual's thoughts and needs and desires and fears and so forth, moving toward cosmic consciousness. Well, what is cosmic consciousness? Well, that's the expansion of the individual to include the cosmos, to include the universe. So the person now has a much more expanded mountaintop vision, much like the humanitarian vision or the humanist vision that I'm presenting, in which the considerations are far-reaching, not just for oneself, but for everyone in all life. For if I feel at one-ment or united with all life, the trees, the sky, all humans. I feel like I am part of everyone, and they are part of me, and all animals, nature, the seas, the oceans, the earth, and so forth, the stars, and all the different galaxies. If I feel that truly I am part of everything, if the experience of me expands to that, then I can imagine that this would be a wonderful way for empathy and a higher vision to really dawn for people. And I think it's true that at certain points in the day, even if these are for milliseconds, that we do have bursts of realization in terms of a conscious cosmic event in which we are cosmically conscious. We are, for a very, very tiny moment in time, or perhaps longer, but for at least tiny moments in time, we have that sense that we are integrated and part of this huge, huge cosmic experience. We are part of everything, and everything is part of us. We are unable to separate ourselves from everything else, from all life. And that type of a deep experience, people who've gone through psychedelic experiences, LSD, peyote, magic mushrooms, even cannabis can sometimes move a person in that direction. Chanting, yoga, deep states of consciousness and meditation, wonderful sex experiences where the persons begin to blur and merge with one another. All these types of experiences point to this seed that is, I believe, within us already, of cosmic consciousness that's just waiting to be watered and to grow and take root within all of us. And it's possible that by entertaining the idea of, well, what's the best choice here for the most amount of people over the greatest amount of time, getting that humanitarian or humanist outlook, of what's really going to help everyone, that we can assist ourselves in helping that seed of cosmic consciousness to take root and to be watered. And with cosmic consciousness, as we know from stories of people that have gone through psychedelic research, psychedelic experiences, transformational experiences with their spiritual practice and so forth, we know from their testimony that the experience is one in which the suffering and the pain become much less emphasized, and the unity and love and peace and harmony and deep, deep feeling of bliss, just a wonderful, incredible feeling of bliss, that you're really never, ever going to die, that you're just going to leave your physical body at some point, but your consciousness will go onward and outward. Just like Walt Whitman says, to die is different from what anyone thinks, and luckier. I'm not sure if that's the exact quote, but essentially he's saying that dying is not a bad thing, and it's actually very lucky, because the experience beyond is so amazing. And some writers have actually hypothesized that certain people, such as Walt Whitman, as well as others, have embodied, at different points in their lives, or perhaps their whole lives, this state of cosmic consciousness, of having this expanded state of being aware that they are part of this whole living, breathing cosmos, this universe. And it's not simply a hypothetical idea that they've latched onto. It's not just a thought that they're entertaining and trying to grow into. It is an experience. It's an actual experience that is very powerful, very transformational. And I think if we can entertain more and more and more the idea of how we can unite, how the masculine and feminine energies can create together, can work together, can have a positive and harmonious interaction together, and how we can enter into a state of consciousness where we are asking ourselves, well, what is the best for the most amount of people over the greatest amount of time? That humanitarian state of consciousness, that vision, can assist us through some very difficult times, because we, more than likely, being stubborn humans, will be encouraged in this growth if we don't undertake it willingly ourselves. And one of the best ways that the universe provides encouragement is through crisis. So there could be lots of different crises that occur for humanity that would make it mandatory, shall we say, for humanity to drop the isolating, segregating ideologies that only seek for goodness and rights and privileges of the few, and enter into the larger perspective of humanitarianism. So how can we help one another to make things better through this difficult time that we're facing, whatever that may be? Could be natural disasters, could be an economic downturn, could be a political shift, a huge political shift. And these things don't have to be bad, but they can be very, very challenging. Even traumatic experiences can lead to good things. That's just kind of the balance idea of the feminine and masculine. But I think in these times of crisis, if indeed crisis becomes the motivational force to help us move toward humanitarianism and this expanded vision, then we are going to need to help each other get through these times. The unity will be the way. And in doing so, we will be able to develop much more loving kindness toward others because of the necessity for them to be loving and kind to us, and for us to be loving and kind to them, so that we can survive. So I think I'm going to wrap this up at this point. I hope that this has been a good conversation for you. I just want to recap some ideas. We're living in a very confusing and challenging time in 2023. And the separatist, exclusionary ideologies that seek for rights and privileges of a very particular group of people will eventually no longer be able to be maintained, because they lack a broad enough base to endure. Anything that endures has to be balanced. It has to be good for everyone, not just some. And so because these ideologies are not inclusive of everyone, they will have a transitory, or they will have a certain period of time in which they will exist, and then they will cease to exist. So the ideology that will persist is one that is balanced and has a broad foundation, like a broad foundation of a mountain that's very, very, very broad, and therefore can't be toppled, and endures for long, long periods. And so these ideologies, these new ideologies of humanism, if you like that word, I think I'm resonating with humanitarianism, or being a humanitarian. I think I like that word quite a bit. Whatever you choose, though. And because these new expanded visions and ideologies of humanitarianism and being a humanitarian have such a broad foundation, they also have the harmonious interaction between the feminine and masculine energies. The yin and the yang interplay is positive, and the interaction between men and women is positive, and we're all working to help one another create the best possible outcomes, then this ideology can persist and endure. And in fact, it will be the perspective that will help see us through some of our most difficult times in our lives as we prepare to transition and make changes and go through changes that are beyond our conscious control. The upcoming times are not understood. We don't know what's to come. But to persist in ideologies that do separate people and do only have the rights and privileges of a particular few in mind, this cannot be something that'll propel us forward to an enduring state of harmony and well-being. So, humanitarianism, expanding ourselves into our cosmic vision whereby we are part of everything, where the yin is hidden inside the yang and the yang is hidden inside the yin. They're both part of each other. And if we can enter into this cosmic humanitarian harmonious interplay and exchange of feminine and masculine energies, I think that's our way forward. So thanks for listening. That's what I have for now, and take care.